and welcome to the Mr. All In podcast. As usual, my name is Jacob Staten. As usual, his name is JJ Armstrong. How are you, mate?
Waka waka, Jacob. The Reds are staying up. The season's finally done. I feel very good. I feel better now that you've finally got that intro right, because we've done it 4 times before this. Jacob, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm very well, mate. Thank you. Very well. It's a lovely, hot... I mean, it's not quite summer yet, is it? But it's a lovely weekend. It's been red hot. What a time to be alive.
Yeah. I think a party for Forest fans in the sun, when it's glorious like this, we just get rid of all the worry. We're safe. I think that's a great day for all. Those that are both in the ground and out the ground, I think it's just a good day for Forest fans.
Yeah, I would love... But apparently the place to go for away fans is the Burnley cricket ground. I think that's where everyone's going today.
I've seen that. I saw that. I've seen a lot of pictures, a lot of footage of it, and I think that looks like a class place to go before a game. Big open field, loads of space. Whispers that it's £4.50 a pint. Which is actually all right for an away day, I think.
Although, actually, technically, though, for that far up north, that is atrocious.
It's shocking, but I think, given it's an away day, I think I could stomach that.
Yeah.
It looked great. It looked great, and I've seen a few people have a bit of a race in the sun. There's people dressed up as referees, people dressed up as Gary Neville, as Stuart Atwell. It looks an absolute party. I would like to be there rather than in my house right now, but unfortunately I'm not. But I just hope that everybody was there, managed to have the party that is similar to Crystal Palace last season, and just enjoy the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So start off with the starting 11, swap back to a 4-2-3-1 for this game, and that is with Toffolo coming in for Olaina, who wasn't on the bench, was he?
No, I believe he's injured, or there's whispers that he was injured. I heard it before, and I was hoping it wasn't true, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
He's starting to fall into the bracket of what's the point, if you know what I mean? He's that injured that often. He's so good, but when he's so good, but he's that injured all the time. You can't rely on him to be fit.
I get what you're saying, but he falls into the category of he's essential. Aina and Williams, to me, are completely essential to the way we play, and it is gutting. And it's the same with Tyra, really. He falls into the category, as you've just said, of what's the point? But in reality, everybody's screaming essential because they're both so good. Mm. I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but I was gutted to see he wasn't on the starting 11. I think he's really important to the way Hudson-Odoi plays. Yeah. Toffolo is a great backup. I really like Toffolo as a person, especially in the last week. But as a player, I think he's largely been good, if not for the Reece James thing the other week. So, shame to see Olaina not there. I understand what you're saying, but essential for me.
Yeah, I just twigged what you meant by the Reece James thing and had to have a little chuckle. Probably the worst piece of defending I've seen this season. Yes. And then the other one was Anthony Elanga in for Moussa Niakate as we swapped back to the 4-2-3-1. Great to see that front four together. I don't really mind who's the striker at the head of that, either Awunyi or Woods. But yeah, it's great to see that front four back together. And then we start. And within, 80 seconds? We are ahead. Anthony Elanga, some great play down the right wing. He turns Charlie Taylor inside and out. He puts one of the most delicious balls into the box I've ever seen in my life, and Chris Wood just knocks it home and is in front of the Forest fans doing a waka waka.
Happy days. I think Elanga, for me, I would fall under the category of has been really good this season, but in recent weeks or since he's sort of come back from a little bit of injury, has not been the same player we know him to be. And I think this was a little bit of a display of what he can do, what he's about. Yeah. Not afraid to take on his man, not afraid to whip the ball in, and it was a lovely ball. The way it curved around the defender, Chris Wood, a player of his caliber. I know he's had a few misses in the recent weeks that he definitely should have buried, but for him, his eyes must have lit up at that. It's a golden opportunity to get ahead in the game. The thing that worried me for this game is if we conceded around the 20-minute mark, and then things would get a little bit nervy. Yeah, and it's really, everybody really knew that it was pretty much done. The job was done before this game. Yeah. But I think the best thing that could have happened was this, just to capitalise, to get up front straight away, get a goal, and it was a great goal, and just eradicate the nerves because it's another goal down. So brilliant play by Elanga, brilliant finish by Wood. I want to see more of that from Elanga. We've seen it in the past. I think he's shied away in recent weeks, but he's still very young. It's still very new in his career, so he's not going to be as consistent. Otherwise, he would be consistently playing for a club like Man United, and probably should be. Let's be fair. I think they were stupid to let him go. But yeah, really great work from him. I'm pleased for Chris Wood because he's had a few near misses in recent weeks. I'm glad that he's sort of put that behind him and scored yet another important goal.
Yeah, he's not looked the same as he since that Tottenham game.
Yeah,
since he hit the post, which I think was probably just good goalkeeping. I think forcing him to that shot. But yeah, the thing I like about Elanga, which I think is the only criticism you can have of Callum Hudson-Odoi, is Elanga is very comfortable with both feet, so it makes it very, very hard for a fullback to defend against him. Whereas Callum Hudson-Odoi will only use his right foot, but he uses it very well. It's like a very minor criticism.
Just on Callum Hudson-Odoi, I saw a compilation on TikTok of all places that said when Hudson-Odoi cuts in on his right foot, it's game over. And I thought it'd be a compilation of goals that he scored for Forest this season because there's been plenty of them. But it actually extends far beyond that for when he played for Chelsea Youth and the Chelsea team. That is his signature move. He just does it so well.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting that obviously I always knew Hudson-Odoi is a good player. I didn't realise quite how often he cut onto his right foot and just banged it in. And he's so effective at it. So you said you don't mind who's at the head of this front four, but the three behind the striker of Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White and Elanga, that is really exciting going into the future. We've stayed up. We'll talk later on in this episode about our hopes for the next season. But for me, that front three or the three behind the striker are really exciting.
Yeah, they are. I think if there's one criticism you could have of Morgan Gibbs-White, it's that he doesn't score many goals. I know he's kind of penalty duty, isn't he? But we don't get those, do we? So, but I think if Gibbs-White could add 10 goals a season to his game, that's a game changer for us and for him as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Maddison is paraded around as a really good player. I'd be interested to know Maddison's stats for goals scored, assists created this season. I would imagine that Gibbs-White is better. And also De Bruyne, whilst obviously he's not on the same calibre as De Bruyne, but how many goals does De Bruyne contribute a season? Is that sort of his next level to progress? I think Gibbs-White has that moment of magic, his assist, that's his sort of main thing. I would like to see him score a bit more, but whilst he's still so young and creating so much, he's really effective.
So James Maddison played 28 games this season, scored 4 goals, 9 assists. Kevin De Bruyne played 17 Premier League games this season, 4 goals, 10 assists. I think Kevin De Bruyne is a little bit of an unfair.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really that fair. But in comparison to Gibbs-White over James Maddison, what we're talking, what numbers are we saying?
So Morgan Gibbs-White this season played 36, scored 5, 10 assists. So I think if he could add maybe, I don't know, let's say we got more penalties this season and we're adding 3 more goals, I don't think I'd be making that comment, would I? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just that I'd like to see him get towards 10 goals.
Yeah, I also think it's a little bit harsh that he didn't win Player of the Season. I think Murillo is fantastic, but Gibbs-White for me is Player of the Season. On reflection,
he took too long to get cooking for me, Gibbs-White.
But then he cooked. I mean, we want Murillo has conceded quite a few goals. He has been a bit defensively naive. His range of passing has been fantastic. He is a great player. I'm really trying to argue against the point that I know he is just brilliant, but I still think it's Gibbs-White. So Gibbs-White's had a good season. I don't really know how we got into criticising Gibbs-White. We shouldn't. The first goal was great. I don't understand how we got into this subject.
Well, then talk to us about the second goal, JJ.
The second goal was beautiful football. It was really lovely. I think the game at this point was just a little bit rubbish. I think both teams were a little bit shit, let's be fair. Burnley had a lot. We were sitting back. They were doing nothing with anything that they had. But I think the little move that we did to get this goal was beautiful. I think Hudson-Odoi passed it to Gibbs-White, sort of cut through the box. who cut it to Yates. And I'd love to see this be sort of Yates burying it into the corner. But a lucky deflection, you could say, of Chris Wood. For once, VAR and offside ruled in our favour, and it was 2-0. And I think job done, really. There wasn't really many nerves beforehand, but this just killed all nerves. But I just think if it, obviously, Chris Wood reflection, he can't really do too much about it. It went in, it was still a good goal. I think the bit of football before that preceded Chris Wood's touch or deflection was really, really nice. And it gives you a little bit of hope that we can actually play some nice football.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it was more Chris was almost lucky with his positioning, if that makes sense. I think he does get a strike on it. I think he does to open his foot as he kind of hits off him. But it was nice to see when they showed the reverse angle. You clearly see that what's his name? Frenchish sounding name, hasn't he? The Burnley right back. Is it Assignon or something like that?
I don't think I could tell you one Burnley player other than Muric, to be honest. And Virgin. They're the only two I know.
I think it was his name is Assignon, Laurens Assignon. I think he's playing him onside from right back. So it was nice. You could pretty much see straight away.
He was quite onside as well.
I think what helps in real time, they all kind of stepped up, didn't they? So he kind of looked very offside, but in actual fact, he was very onside.
Yeah, I think, when it happened, I thought, well, offside, shame. But on replay, I think it was quite obvious that he was pretty onside. So a great goal, and I think 2-0, game over, really. Not much really happened before half-time. Luton went into half-time losing as well. I think it was 2-1 at half-time at that point for the Luton game.
Did they go up? Did they equalise and then literally Fulham score?
From the 43rd minute, Fulham scored, then Luton scored, then Fulham scored again. So a crazy few minutes around half-time.
Oh, wow, yeah. So that's that 3 goals in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I didn't realise it. And then actually Jimenez scored before the 50-minute mark in the second half, and then Doughty scored again just after 55. So all happening in that game, wasn't it?
Yeah, if there was a bit more to it, if we weren't quite as comfortable as we were, I think it would have been really interesting at that point. But at half-time, I just thought, job done. Job was done already, let's face it. The job was done before we headed into the game. Not even Forest could have done it.
I think personally, for me, as long as the first goal was either Fulham or Forest, it was over. It was over
anyway. But
they
confirmed it.
For today, because you can't, Stoke has happened to us. I think as long as the first goal was Forest or Fulham, we were safe, and both goals were. So
it's a bit like the City title, and I think everyone's pretending there's a sense of jeopardy, and everyone's a bit concerned, or if anyone could do it, it's Forest. And I have said that to many people. If anyone can do it, it's Forest. And I think it's largely to just cover yourself, because I don't think anyone truly believes that Forest could be this Forest and mess it up that badly. It wouldn't, if it happened, it generally would not have surprised me, which says a lot about the club. But I don't think there was really any jeopardy. I think the job was done. We've done enough. And also the job was literally done, if not for the points deduction. We're a much better team than the 3 below by, at this point, 10 points. So, Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United, they should be embarrassed, because if not for a points deduction, they were 10 points beneath us. That's not a good look for the newly promoted teams. No. So, no jeopardy for me. At half-time, I was pretty happy, pretty comfortable. What about you?
Same. Yeah. I was starting to think about who we might bring on for the second half, just to play. But I respect that he didn't, I think.
Yeah, it just wasn't really that good a game. I think if we were literally free-flowing liquid football, I think you could make a case for continuing how we are and just seeing what we can do. If we can batter them, that would be great. Equally, if we were quite a few goals up and we were playing liquid football and there's a good chance to see a few people ahead of next season, then why not bring them on? But, the job technically wasn't done, I guess, in a way. Obviously was, but it was just professional integrity, I think I can see why he just stuck it out and carried on, because it was a nothing game. Both teams weren't good.
Yeah. Then it's the second half, JJ. Not much happens early on. Now I didn't see when he came off, but was Ryan Yates injured when he came off? Because he came off
Yates
quite
was
early.
injured. Yeah, he was injured. Came off for Sangare, which I think is a shame, because I think I couldn't tell you if he played well, because I couldn't really say how anybody played, really, because I was quite disinterested from it all, because it was a bit boring. But I'd have loved to have seen Yates maybe get on the score sheet, just from a little bit of a narrative point of view. He's only scored one this season, so chances are quite slim, but I think he deserved a bit of a sort of final 90 minutes to have a really good go in a Forest shirt and keep us up, or part of the team that kept us up even. So I imagine going forward, he'll be largely utilised as a squad player. I don't think he'll be quite as starting if we got a recruitment right. So it would have been nice to see him see it out and sort of be the leader that we needed.
Yeah.
So a shame to see, but yeah, it appeared that he was injured.
Yes, yeah. And then basically not much happens until they score a goal in the 72nd minute, which is the Burnley captain Josh Cullen. Kind of a bit of a run through, and he takes nothing of a shot, and it comes off the inside of, or off the side of Murillo's shin, doesn't it? Wrong foot selts, and in it goes, and I don't know.
That I think that gesture, for those listening, Jacob threw his hands up in the air as if to say, yeah. I think that sums it up, really. It was nice to concede a goal, and just maybe for the first time this season, or actually is the first time this season for me, where we've conceded a goal and I've just gone,
yeah.
There's nothing really matters. It just is what it is. Maybe fortunate, whatever. The job was done, and Luton, I think, we're losing 3 or 4-2 at this point, or whatever the score was. They were losing. So there was nothing bad. There was no bad permutations. Had a lot of goal difference to go. We were still winning. It just is what it is. So I think the gesture of I think that's all you can really say about that goal.
Yeah, it was 4-2 Luton at that point. And then after that, there were some changes made. So Taiwo Awoniyi and Musa Niakhaté came on for Chris Wood and Danilo. And then in the 88th minute, Chiku Kouyaté and Rodrigo Ribeiro came on for Anthony Elanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi, respectively. Nuno swapped it around a bit, didn't he? Did he go back? He went back to a back five just to kind of see out the game, which I completely get, but nothing else really happened, did it?
No, it was boring. Nice to see Kouyaté get a few minutes. He has been, over the last few years, a good player at times. He's been key for us. He's tried a lot, so it's good to see him get a few minutes just to have a bit of a final goodbye, because I believe his contract ends this summer.
He was very good, wasn't he, pre-World Cup?
Yeah, he deserves a bit of applause, because obviously there's been recruitment, which means he's fallen down the pecking order, but I think he deserves a bit of, I know it's not much, just having a few minutes, but I think he's a player that deserves it.
Yeah.
And it has surprised me, because I didn't really want him at the time, but I think he's been really useful when he's been used. So fair play to him. Good to get minutes in Ribeiro, still an unknown quantity. I think we've got an option to buy. It's not compulsory, but I don't think I've seen enough of him to really make my mind up on that. So I don't know what the fee is, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a failed experiment that really was a bit pointless. Good to see Taiwo again. Obviously, Chris Wood had another good game. He could have scored a few more, but he scored the 2. That's all that matters. And I think he saved us quite a lot this season. I think Chris Wood has basically kept us up. So Taiwo's obviously off the boil. He's just come back from injury, but good to get a few minutes in him. Hopefully they can both stay fit next season. We might need another striker possibly, but yeah, I don't think the game management really was that bad. Wasn't really anything. I don't think the game needed managed, because it was just enough in game. So yeah, I think my main takeaway from all that is good to see Kouyaté get a few minutes.
Yeah, I think Rodrigo Ribeiro signing was an interesting one, because if he was good enough to come for us and get minutes, which he has done, But Sporting Lisbon, who he played for in a title race, I mean, I know they finished 10 points clear at the top, but it was still a fairly tight title race until a few weeks ago. I know he's a football manager player, isn't he? He's very good at football manager, so I don't really know. I'd love to. I don't know some signs. I'd love to know the ins and outs of, like Mangala leaving on loan. There's no permanent option. There's no obligation. I'd love to know why we let our best central midfielder go on loan.
Well, judging by his comments in last week, he is hoping that it gets triggered. I don't think he really wants to be at Forest. So, in which case, see ya. But the Ribeira one, I can't really tell you. Like you said, I'd love to know the ins and outs, what the thinking was behind it, what their plans were for him. Did it work out how they thought it would? Was he a player that would make the odd sub appearance if needed? Was it less than they thought it would? Did they think he'd be a more important player despite his young age? It's really difficult to know. Was it one that they've got him in so they can earmark him and have a fee that eventually rises to something much bigger when we sell him on because they've seen enough in him? Who knows? It's really difficult to really know with that one. And I think you could say that about recruitment in general for a lot of players. I'd love to know the thought behind it, 'cause sometimes you just don't quite get it. And I think he's one of them.
Yeah, which brings on to the final whistle, JJ. You're going to show us, flash up the league table again.
I am. The league table is here. For those listening, Forest are staying up. 9 wins, 9 draws, and 20 losses. Minus 18 goal difference, and they've got 32 points ahead of Luton, who were the next best contender, who had 26 points, but obviously we had a 4-point deduction. So Forest finishing 17th place on 32 points ahead of Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield.
This is going to sound like an odd thing to say, but so say we've had 20 losses, and we just flash it back up again. Sorry, mate. I need to.
There you go.
With 20 losses, and our goal difference is only minus 18. That's actually not that bad. That means we've lost a lot of tight games, which we did do. Do you know what I mean? Like, it means that if we'd have been a little bit better on occasion, we could have been much further up the table. Just a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not.
I think that's the frustration of the season. That's a common theme. I think you're right in that. Is there's so many games that more games than I think I've ever had in a season where we've gone, we should have got something from that, or we've lost, but we definitely could have got something, or a point, or a 1 goal. The amount of 3-2s this season alone is ridiculous. I think we're really close to being a good team, really close, and I think that table shows it. We've been battered by City, we've been battered by Arsenal in the past, battered by Fulham this season, I guess. Not that many batterings this season.
That was the only thumping, wasn't it, Fulham? Yeah,
last season we got thumped by Arsenal, City, West Ham. Thumped by West Ham.
Yeah.
We got a bit of a thumping a few times, but this season I don't think we've been thumped. I think the biggest enemy of Nottingham Forest this season has been Nottingham Forest. I think our own naivety in game management, substitutions, hold on to a game, players just making mistakes or errors, or the set piece thing just getting into our heads. We are our own worst enemy this season, and that extends as well to a points deduction. We did that ourselves as well. So there's something, we're close. I think we're nearly there. A few good quality additions or whatever. I don't know what the answer is, but we're close to being a really effective Premier League team. And the amount of times we've put in good performances against really good opposition, say Man City or Spurs, or teams that are quite good. We should have got Liverpool, for example. We definitely should have got something from that, but if not for them cheating, these are teams that are competing at the top end of the table, and we were so close to competing alongside them in a competitive game. So I think the fact that we were safe, because largely due to goal difference, shows there is an element of quality ahead of the people below us, the 3 teams below us. There's obviously a points gap now, plus the points deduction would have made us even safer. But I think you're right. I think it shows maybe there is an element of progression there that learning a little bit. I don't know what our goal difference was last season. Q Jacob typing frantically to find out, as he's about to do. But whilst the position hasn't improved, you would hope that largely the naivety or whatever, I think we've improved slightly. It's not been as drastic as you'd hope, but
last
slightly.
season was -30.
There you go. So
that's a lot better.
Yeah, a good improvement. That's positive.
Positive.
It's positive.
It's not.
Correct.
What's your overall thoughts on the season, JJ?
I mean, as we sit here today, my overall thoughts are I'm just relieved it's done. It's just not been fun, and I think there's been quite a few times this season where I felt embarrassed, and there's been a few times as a Forest fan where I felt embarrassed by the performance of the team. But I think my main takeaway this season is I've been embarrassed by the performance off the pitch. There's been a lot of things happening that don't really sit too well with me. I think, the fans are the most important part, the most integral part to our success. And I think we need to retain that. We need to make sure they're on side. And I think there's been elements this season where we're in danger of sort of demoralizing those fans and treating them like customers. And also, off the field decisions have cost us literal points. So my main takeaway is I'm just relieved it's done. It's not been a nice season. There's been a lot of craziness. I think every week there's always something, be it a points deduction, be it we're moving to Toten, be it Callum Hudson-Odoi accused of visiting Epstein Island. It's been a range of craziness this season, even as far as the last few weeks. Taiwo Awoniyi is now an ambassador for Dettol. A lot of things have happened this season. It's been a bit mad. So relieved it's done. I hope we can build on it next season. I hope we can learn, because I was hoping we'd learn this season, but I don't think we really have. So, Jacob, what about you? What are your thoughts this season? Are you happy it's done? Do you feel different to that?
I'm happy it's over in the sense that we were in a relegation battle. I personally don't think on the field it's been. I've been embarrassed outside of the Fulham game. I think there's been maybe the Luton 2-2 draw at home. There's been some occasions where I've been let down. I think that's the phrase I would use the most. But I wouldn't say embarrassed this season, which I think is an improvement on last season. I think now we're safe to say that we're going into our third Premier League season. We're established. We need to see some progress. I was looking at the squad, looking at in my head of the theoretical best team that we've got. I'd like to see a centre-back, a centre midfielder, and a striker. I'd love to keep hold of key players like Murillo and Morgan Gibbs-white, or at least one of them. I'm not sure which one I prefer right now, if I'm being honest, to have to keep hold of. Okay. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to next season. I think it's I think the managers, the owner's going to invest again. I think that's his thing, isn't it? He definitely sticks his hand in his pocket. I'd like to see a bit more structure off the pitch. I agree with at times we have been embarrassing off the pitch, but I think that we do have to give the owners kudos when it's due, in that we are going into a third Premier League season now.
Yeah, I can't criticize the owner's investment. I think I'm appreciative of the fact that he clearly cares and is willing to put his hands in his pocket, as you said. It's just, as you've mentioned, a little bit more structure would be nice, because I think there's elements where, like I say, we end up becoming our own enemy because we're the ones that are we're the ones causing our own problems. Yeah. So just a bit of structure, a little bit less meddling, a little bit less chaos, I think we could do really well. There is the spine of a team. There is the sort of nucleus of a team here that could do really, really well, really, really good things. If we can hold on to a few players, the future, I think, is really, really bright. And the main takeaway from the season of it, whilst I'm relieved it's done, I'm also really pleased that we stayed up, because it means an exciting future for this club, because it means we could possibly build on what we've got. And if we can build on what we've got, which is quite a few really good players, particularly the three behind the striker, I think we can do some really great things. We could play some really dynamic and attacking, fun football.
Yeah.
So it depends on, I think, people behaving themselves, really, and making the right appointments.
Your comments about dynamic and attacking football, JJ, I think it leads us nicely into the next question.
Okay.
Nuno in or Nuno out for next season?
I am on the fence, I think. I think if he stays, okay, he needs to show me a bit more, I think. If he goes, that's fine. Who are you bringing in? And make sure it's the right appointment. I think we had a bit of a crossroads moment when Steve Cooper left and we had the choice of Nuno or Glasner. I wanted Glasner, and it looks like that would have been the right decision. But Nuno has kept us up, and our performances have largely improved. We've played some much more attacking football, but the results have not improved. So I think it's tough, really, for him. He's coming to a situation where he's inherited a team that isn't his, with a points deduction, with chaos above him. You know, it's a difficult task, and he has still kept us up, thankfully. I think that might be largely due to the fact that teams below us are pretty bad. But still, he's kept us up. So you can only do what's in front of you, and he has done that. A pre-season where he can maybe add his own flavour of play that he wants and build the way he wants to, maybe that would be a good thing, and maybe we will just be okay under him next season and be fine. But then also, you're at that other weird crossroad where you allow a manager to bring in the players that he wants, and it still isn't quite as effective. You sack him in October, you're on the merry-go-round again. You know what I mean? So the decision needs to be made now. Is he here or is he not? Because we need to build on the manager and put some faith in him. So for me, I know it's a really cop-out answer, but whichever way it goes, I'm fine with. I won't be gutted if he leaves. I won't be gutted if he stays. We just need to have a structured approach to this preseason. Don't keep him, bring in players that he wants, and then get rid of him just before the season or in October. You know, we just need to be really considered. This is the most important preseason for Forest in years, I think, because we just need to get this right.
Yeah.
Jacob, reverse question: Nuno in or Nuno out?
So my answer earlier when we talked about asking this question on the podcast was I don't care. The more I think about it, the more I'm Nuno out. I don't think his style of football will ever click with Forest fans, even if we're successful. We have a thing about the way Forest play. And I personally have a personal preference on the way football should be played. It's not necessarily Nuno's way. We can't utilise the super agent links because of FFP and PSR and all that kind of thing. Whilst the performances largely have been better on the Nuno, the results haven't been. I still think we'll be in the situation under Steve Cooper, in my opinion. The one thing I will say is I hope they make the decision tomorrow. This is what I would ask is that, you know, if it's shake your hand and say bye-bye to Nuno, make it tomorrow, make the appointment by Friday, give him a pre-season, and then a pre-season, then the season start on Thursday, whoever it would be. But also, if it is Nuno, I'm not wildly disappointed. I'm just, in my head, if Nuno's in charge on the first game of the season, he will be sacked before Christmas. I just have that. I have that feeling, and I don't want to be on the merry-go-round. I want a stable manager that wants to play good football. I think Glasner would have been a good appointment. Do I necessarily think that he would have been able to keep us up? I think we're in a much more dire situation than Crystal Palace were. Crystal Palace have only been kind of flying since they've been safe, and I don't think they were really safe
since they got Eze and Elise back, which would help any team, to be fair.
Exactly, and I don't think they've been safe because they were good. They were safe because teams like us, Luton, Sheffield United have been, and Burnley have been awful. But yeah, it probably would be if Glasner was free now, knowing what we know now. Then yeah, absolutely. But it's not how it works, is it? If Nuno was to go, who would you want, JJ?
Well, that's the other part to it. Who's out there? I don't. The only answer I can generally give you is Steve Cooper, but that's obviously never going to happen. And there'll be people that are literally wanting to kill me for saying that.
Kieran McKenna, he's going to Brighton apparently.
I was hoping that Ipswich didn't go up towards the back end of the season purely because it maybe gave us a chance to go for McKenna. When I watch them, I think they play some great stuff. And, if he can persuade someone like Hutchinson to come to Forest, I think that's really positive. But I think he should stay with Ipswich. I think if he goes to Brighton, it's a bit crazy. But I generally don't really know who's out there now for us. There's not too many candidates that excite me.
A lot of people have said Moyes, which I think is exactly the same as Nuno. Whilst I think we might do well, the thing is at Forest is that, and it's the same thing that Moyes has experienced at West Ham. West Ham have a similar thing to us of you have to play the West Ham way.
Is the Forest way is a myth?
I think the Forest way is less of a myth than the West Ham way. The Forest way is the Brian Clough, the grass is on the ground, you play on the ground, don't you?
But how many times have we had that where we played lovely liquid football other than Steve Cooper Championship?
I mean,
and a little bit Billy Davis.
Karanka
had it.
Karanka did not have it.
He had it for one game.
Wash your mouth out with soap, mate.
One game.
Mark Warburton tried too hard to have it. We had 70% possession, lost every game 1-0. I just think I think I've said it before, like with Sarri Lamusha, like no matter how successful we would be, there would always be a point where we go, he's not playing the Forest way, bomb him out type thing. And I think that was I think that is what would happen to Nuno, and it would happen to Moyes if he came in charge. I think Ian Evatt at Bolton did really, really well. He was unlucky to miss out on the playoffs at the weekend. Russell Martin at Southampton, Will Still, who's just left Reims. But, these are unproven managers. These are unproven managers. Like, my wet dream is somebody like Ruben Amorim from Sporting Lisbon, but I dread to think how many brown paper bags full of cash Marinakis would have to, Mr. M would have to participate to give a handover.
I guess that's it. If we are going to sack Nuno, we have to have a genuinely good, positive replacement in mind. Otherwise, that would be silly.
Yeah.
If we keep Nuno because no one else is available, fine. But like I say, when he came in, I think I called it a bit uninspiring, and I think I still retain that thought. I said he would have my back in until he doesn't, and I'm not saying he doesn't have my back in. If he's the manager, I'm happy. Yeah. But I do still think it is quite uninspiring. I don't know whether that's how he presents himself in media or the football that we played or the fact the results haven't improved. But is what it is. But he has kept us up, which I'm thankful for. So maybe deserves a chance. It's a bit of a conundrum, and I think either way is the right answer. I don't think they can really go wrong.
Graham Potter?
Maybe.
I would have liked Maurizio Sarri would tick the box for me. Niko Kovac has just left Wolfsburg. One name I'm just looking at on the list of available coach. I know theoretically every coach is available because you sign them, but looking at ones who are currently not with a club, one name that has popped up to me, which I think would be crazy, but I wouldn't put it past Marinakis to try, is Jose Mourinho. I wouldn't say I'd want it, but I wouldn't put it past him to try.
No, the worst thing this club can get is a mercenary that just fucks the club and abuses it for 2 years. Might be safe mid-table, but then the damage done after that for a few years.
Ruud van Nistelrooy, PSV, did very well. Laurent Blanc.
Hey, Spurs aren't happy with Ange because he tried to stop City winning the title, so we'll take Ange. You're welcome. We'll take
I love that speech. Called them out for being Spurs. He's right, though. He's absolutely right. Their attitude, if you're 3-0 down, then fair enough, celebrate the fact that Arsenal have lost the title. But their attitude that whole week was stinky, in my opinion.
I'll take him. You're welcome. We'll take him off your hands.
Take him off your hands. We are going to be back, aren't we, JJ, in a couple of weeks' time, if not sooner, with a third, fourth, fifth missed rolling in end of season awards?
Yes.
That many?
Yes, I know it's the one everyone's been waiting for. The reason that the season has ended, people will be happy because it means there's an MRI awards. We'll probably take a few weeks off just to breathe, so I don't have to do anything on Photoshop or editing anything, which would be good. But we will be back with an end of season awards. We'll put a link up for you to vote on our social media, so please do follow us. It's at MistRollingPod on Twitter or at MistRollingInPod on Instagram. We'll put a link up for you to vote. I'd be interested to see people's results. But that will be put online in due course, and there'll be a fun little award ceremony that means absolutely nothing for you to watch.
You need a job in sales, mate.
I do. Don't bother. Just fucking switch off now.
Jiminy cricket. One thing that is definitely following either today or this week, or today or tomorrow, I imagine, is a vlog from the lads. The lads who have done many for us before. Rich, I'm not going to. Oh, what's all the names, JJ?
Rich, Stuart, and John, or Jono, as he might be called.
I am
legends of the game. It's getting into Fast and Furious levels of sequels here. They've done about 20 vlogs for us, which we really appreciate. A fan's view sort of died off. We'll try and pick that up a bit more next season, but they're constantly, inviting themselves on to do a vlog for us, which we really appreciate. And
on that point, if you want to do one, please just say. Just say. All you have to do is send us videos. JJ does the rest. I do nothing. And
as always. But yeah, look out for the video. I think I've started in it so far, and seen this before mentioned cricket club, which looks great. But they're all dressed in Hawaiian shirts. The sun is shining. It's set to be a great day for them. So if you're interested to see what an away day looks like on the final day when Forest stay up and there's nothing really to play for, this will be the video for you. And they're great lads. So keep an eye out.
Great lads. Right. If you're listening for the first time, thank you for finding us. What took you so long? If you're listening, if you come back again and again, again and again and again and again and again and again and again, go bloody bless you. You Reds.